When we hear about the most dangerous criminals, we usually imagine men, mobsters, terrorists, killers. But throughout the history of the FBI, there have also been women, smart, cold-blooded, and ruthless. They kidnapped, bombed, manipulated, deceived governments, and escaped pursuit for years. Some of them did it for love, others for ideals, and some for money. Each story is a mix of intelligence, madness, and desperation. Today you will hear about 10 women who proved that crime has no gender. This is the top 10 most wanted women in FBI history. Number 1. Mary Arrington. She was called the Avenger Mother. In 1968, Mary Arrington from Alabama kidnapped and killed the secretary of a lawyer who, in her opinion, had destroyed the lives of her children. Her son received a life sentence for a robbery of only $60, and her daughter, prison for a petty crime. Arrington planned to kidnap the lawyer himself to exchange him for the freedom of her children, but killed his secretary, June Ritter. At the time of the crime, she already had one murder behind her, her husband, allegedly in self-defense. She was sentenced to death, later replaced with life imprisonment. In 1969, she escaped from prison by cutting through the bars in her cell and entered the FBI list as the second woman in history to be declared federally wanted. She hid for 3 years, working as a waitress in New Orleans until the FBI traced her by a phone call. She died in prison in 2019 at the age of 80. The phrase she said before her death became legendary. "No one can judge me. I have already judged myself." Number 2. Angela Davis. A professor of philosophy, communist, and fighter for the rights of black people. She was born in 1944 in Alabama, in an area where homes of black families were regularly set on fire by the Ku Klux Klan. She graduated from Brandeis University, earned a doctorate in Germany, and became a lecturer in California. She was fired for her communist views, and that made her a symbol of resistance. Davis supported the Soledad brothers, 3 black prisoners accused of killing a guard. When the younger brother of one of them organized an armed takeover of the court, the weapons turned out to have been bought under Angela's name. She was accused of complicity, and on August 15, 1970, she entered the list of the most wanted people by the FBI. After 2 months on the run, she was arrested in New York. The trial lasted 2 years, but the jury acquitted Davis on all counts. She became an icon of leftist movements, received the Lenin Peace Prize, and later taught at universities in the USA and Cuba. Today, Angela is 81 years old, and she still speaks out against racism and the prison system. Number 3. Bernardine Dohrn. In the 1960s and 70s, the United States was burning with protests against the Vietnam War. Against this backdrop appeared the radical organization Weather Underground, created by students who decided to fight the system through violence. One of its leaders was Bernardine Dohrn, a graduate of the University of Chicago, lawyer and ideologist of armed resistance. Under the slogan, "Bring the War Home," her group carried out bombings of government buildings to draw attention to racial and social injustice. In 1970, while making bombs, 3 members of the organization died, and the authorities began a large-scale manhunt. 12 participants were put on the wanted list, and on October 14th, Bernardine became the only woman to enter the FBI's top 10 most wanted. Her voice sounded in underground radio broadcasts where she threatened the authorities. "We're not just bombing buildings, we're bringing the empire to its knees." After the war ended, the movement lost its meaning. In 1980, after 10 years on the run, Dohrn voluntarily surrendered to the FBI. She served 6 months for refusing to testify, later became a law professor. Now she is 83 years old. She still believes that at that time, America needed a blow from the inside. Number 4. Susan Sachs and Catherine Power. 2 students from Brandeis University, excellent students and activists against the Vietnam War. Together with 3 former prisoners, they decided to strike capitalism and robbed a bank in Boston in 1970. During the shootout, police officer Walter Schroeder was killed. Sachs and Power became the first female intellectuals to be wanted as armed terrorists. Both hid for 20 years under false names. Susan was arrested in 1975 at a rally, sentenced to 5 years. Catherine lived under the name Alice Louise Metzinger, opened a bakery, raised a son, and suffered from guilt. In 1993, after 23 years on the run, she came to the police herself. She received 8 years and was released early. Both women live to old age, live quietly, and try not to remember the past. Historians call them an example of how the ideals of the 70s turned students into criminals. Number 5. Donna Jean Wilmot. This petite woman, 150 centimeters tall, went down in history as a radical activist from the FALN group, the armed wing for Puerto Rican independence. FALN carried out dozens of bombings in the U.S., demanding the island's release from Washington's control. Donna Wilmot did not participate in the terrorist attacks themselves, but helped organize the escape of their leader, Oscar Lopez Rivera, arrested in 1981. The plan was like a movie: a helicopter, an explosion by the prison wall, and an evacuation. But the plan failed. FBI undercover agents planted a listening device in Donna's car and that of her partner, Claude Marks. When they discovered the device, both disappeared. On May 9, 1987, the FBI added them to the most wanted list. For the first time, a man and a woman were included there on the same day. 7 years on the run, fake documents, life under false names. In 1994, they surrendered voluntarily through a lawyer in exchange for a lenient sentence. Both received 5 years. After release, they worked in human rights organizations. Today, Donna lives quietly and helps families of political prisoners. The FBI later admitted, if not for her, the FALN operation could have cost many lives. Number 6. Shantae Henderson. Kansas City, 2006. A young woman, leader of a street gang, was involved in shootouts, extortion, and arms trafficking. Shantae Henderson, 24, became a symbol of female criminal power. She acted like a man and controlled dozens of subordinates. On September 2nd, she shot DeAndre Parker, a rival from another gang, right at a gas station. After the murder, she hid but continued to lead the gang from underground. In March 2007, she was added to the FBI list with a reward of $100,000. A relative turned her into the police. More than 100 people went out for the arrest. The block was surrounded by armored vehicles. Henderson was detained without resistance. At the trial, she claimed she acted in self-defense, but the evidence did not match her story. She received 20 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter. Her release is scheduled for 2027. The FBI called her one of the most dangerous women of the Midwest. Number 7. Brenda Berenice Delgado. A story of jealousy that turned into a contract killing. Brenda Delgado, a dentist from Dallas, originally from Mexico, educated, successful, the daughter of immigrants, a symbol of the American dream. Everything collapsed when her ex-boyfriend, medical professor Ricardo Paniagua, began dating a new woman, Kendra Hatcher, also a dentist. Brenda could not accept it. She followed the couple, found out their email passwords, duplicated keys. On September 2, 2015, in the parking lot of Kendra's apartment building, she was shot dead. Police discovered that the killer had been hired by Brenda. She paid $3,000 to hitman Christopher Love and $500 to his accomplice Crystal Cortez. After the arrest of her partners, Delgado disappeared. The FBI included her in the top 10 most wanted and announced a reward of $100,000. 2 days later, she was found in Mexico. Extradition took place only after the promise not to apply the death penalty. Brenda received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Investigators called her crime a murder born purely of envy. Number 8. Shanika Minor. A 24-year-old mail carrier from Milwaukee who became a murderer because of loud music. In the spring of 2016, Shanika's mother complained that neighbors wouldn't let her sleep. The daughter came to deal with it and met her former school friend Tamika Perry, a pregnant woman. The argument turned into insults. A few days later, Minor returned with a pistol. She shot Tamika right in front of the children. The victim and her unborn child died on the spot. After the murder, Shanika fled. On June 28, 2016, the FBI declared her federally wanted and added her to the most wanted list. 3 days later, a friend turned her in after seeing a TV report. "I was hanging out with her on the beach yesterday, and today I realized who she was." On July 1st, Minor was arrested in a hotel in the city of Fayetteville. The court found her guilty of first-degree murder. She received 30 years in prison. It became the first case in history when a criminal from Milwaukee entered the FBI's top 10 list. Number 9. Ruth Eisenman Shear. The first woman ever to appear on the FBI's most wanted list. In 1968, a student from Honduras, Ruth Eisenman Shear, together with her boyfriend Gary Christ, kidnapped a wealthy heiress from Atlanta, Barbara Mackle. The girl was kidnapped for a ransom of $500,000. Barbara was buried underground in an improvised grave with an air tube and water, left to die slowly. 3 days later, the kidnappers called her family, but the FBI had already traced the call. Barbara was rescued alive and Gary was soon arrested. Ruth managed to escape and became the first woman declared federally wanted. After 79 days, she was found in Texas. Sentence: 7 years in prison, of which she served 4. After her release, Ruth disappeared from public life. Her story entered all U.S. criminology textbooks as an example of a kidnapping executed with engineering precision. Number 10. Ruja Ignatova, the crypto queen who vanished with billions. Bulgarian-born Ruja Ignatova created the cryptocurrency OneCoin, promising investors the Bitcoin killer. The project started in 2014 and collected more than $4 billion from investors around the world. Ignatova held grand conferences, appeared covered in diamonds, and said, "If you missed Bitcoin, don't miss OneCoin." But in 2017, the company collapsed. There was no blockchain, no real currency. It turned out to be the largest financial pyramid of the decade. Ruja disappeared in October 2017, boarding a plane from Sofia to Athens, and vanished. The FBI added her to the top 10 in 2022, offering a reward of up to $250,000. According to one version, she lives under the protection of criminal groups. According to another, she is no longer alive. But one fact remains: neither the body nor the money have ever been found.